Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello, hello, hello. Once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. What up? Hey, Steven, guess what?
I'm going to guess first world problem.
No.
Oh.
This is a serious thing. This is color me shocked, okay? By the time you hear this is going to be way old news, but I want to talk about it anyway. There was a school shooting on Wednesday at the Annunciation School, which is a Catholic school in Minnesota, and two little kids who were worshiping Jesus Christ were murdered. And immediately when they didn't, release the name, we're all like, okay, let's have a roulette wheel of crazy, shall we? So it's either going to be Islamist, a person of color, or a tranny. You want to take a wild guess? Who it was? Who's the shooter? You have no idea?
Mm-mm.
It was a trans Tifa. And this is how Newsweek described it. Okay? Again, if this had been MAGA, so of course, the first thing that any of these people do is call for gun control before they know any details whatsoever. It's gun control, gun control, gun control. It's like, maybe you should stop grooming these lunatics into your satanic demonic ideology, and maybe they wouldn't, do such things. Who was Annunciation school shooting suspect? Robin Westman? Question mark. Can you imagine if it was a MAGA supporter identified as the shoot? Please. Anyway, so this is what's gross is that they're trying to pretend like it's a guy named it's someone named Robin. Robin. No. He was a tranny. He changed his name from Robert to Robin in 2020 when he was 17, and his mother worked at the school, shades of Audrey Hale in the Covenant Christian School. So basically, this guy was like, holding the beer of Audrey Hale saying, I'll one-up you. So he basically opened fire into a church as children are worshiping Jesus Christ. So not just going to a school and going to classrooms and shooting it up. Like, let's go to the church itself and really send our soul straight to hell. And he took his own life. Shocker. Shocker, shocker. Okay.
And the lamestream media, no labels on this.
No. Look for this story to disappear in 3, 2, 1. Adios, amigo.
Probably by the time this airs.
By the time this airs, you'll be like, there was a shooting? Oh, okay. I forgot all about that. Horrible. Demons running wild everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And it's funny because last night, on Tuesday night, I went on Isaiah Carey's show, Isaiah Factor Uncensored. And I'm going to do a little humble brag in a minute.
And there's nothing humble about your brag.
Whatever. I'm at least giving you like a heads up that I'm going to humble brag. But before I do that, the topic was about this lady running in for CD30, Valentina Gomez, I believe her name is. She has this viral X post that she's like taking a flamethrower to the Quran. And she's like, Christians have got to get serious because, Muslims are raping your daughters and killing Christians. And, it was like a big, obviously incendiary thing, figuratively and literally. And I think she knows that she's probably not going to win, but boy, she got some attention. And I said on the show, I was like, Christians are the most persecuted people on God's green earth. And it's time to get serious about what these Islamists really want for us and what they're doing in the UK, where you're not allowed to talk about the rape gangs that are going on, where little girls in Dundee, Scotland are getting arrested because they're trying to defend themselves against these insane, quote, asylum seeker, illegal alien gangs that want to, rape all these kids. And basically, immigration run amok. This is why we have this. We have, they're bringing in hordes of people who have no desire to assimilate whatsoever. They don't respect our culture, our laws, our norms, but they're like, well, white people are terrible, and we just have to brown up Europe a little bit, so bring them all in. It's going great. Anyway, the point is this. Once again, we have a scenario where Christians have been persecuted and targeted for their faith. And it's time to get serious, you guys, and it's time to understand what we're up against. And obviously, we're not saying that everyone that's in Antifa or anyone that's of the transgender. We're not saying that all are going to be shooting up a school. Nobody's saying that, but why is it always? It's not always, but why is it always? Because it ain't MAGA. Anyway, all right, here's my humble brag and my first world problem.
On humble brag.
It's a humble brag. I promise. Okay. So, last week, I hadn't gotten called for Isaiah for like 2 weeks. I feel like sometimes they're like, we just need like little doses of you. Sometimes we need a break. And I'm like, I respect that. Unfortunately, my husband can't get a break from me. But we're going to say hi to Fred in a minute. He's actually here in the studio. But I told Isaiah, I said, boy, it'd be fun if I was able to come on for my birthday on Monday. And then on Sunday, I microneedled my face to, hell and back. And my face was like super, super pink, like pink as a baboon's behind. Like I went a little crazy. And so my face was like super, super pink. Couldn't go on Monday. So I went last night and my face is still like super raw. Like I went a little crazy. So that's my first world problem right there. But my humble brag is this. So I did the segment. Segment's over. I'm like, oh, I can go to sleep now. Yay. And at the end of the segment, Isaiah was like, well, Angela, we have a little surprise for you. And they did they flashed on the screen. They're like, happy birthday, Angela Box. I was like,
oh, that's so cool.
I know. And I did not, hand to God, I didn't go, hey, can you do something for me so I can humble brag? No. I thought that was really nice of all of them.
That is very cool.
Okay. So here's a funny story. Speaking of my birthday, I'm finally 30. It's true. Very excited about this. Say hi, Fred. Fred, there you go. Fred. Okay, there's Fred. And this is a Fred story. It's very cute. It's a brag on my husband because he's an exceptional human. He's the kind of person, and we were talking about this. He's got 2 or 3 people that will call him. Okay, and I am not exaggerating. They will monologue for 45 minutes. Phone's on speaker. I'm like, get off the phone. He's like, I can't. They're just talking and talking and talking. I'm like, you haven't said 3 words. He goes, I know. I don't know what it is. I go, it's like you're their therapist or something. He goes, I don't know what it is. Like, I had a doctor that did this. I would go to the doctor and the doctor would like unload her problems onto me. And I said, you know what it is? I said, you're the kind of person that because of your countenance and because of your aura, like you're the kind of person that doesn't have to say a word. And yet people will just tell you like their life story and their problems and everything. I'm like, you could be the kind of therapist that would be like, they would just unload for an hour and then Fred would nod and then give like a snappy generalization at the end. You should pray more or something like that. And then like, that'll be $200. And they would pay it. And I'm like, that could be like a side hustle for you. Okay. Okay, before we go to the break, I have 2 bands that I want you to check out, okay? And then we've got, I didn't mention, remember how I said I was going to talk about Chrissy Teigen last week? And yes. I didn't? We have to talk about her. Here are 2 bands that I want you all to check out. People do not know. Well, people, if you know, you know. First Aid Kit, which is like, what? It's these 2 Swedish sisters that were discovered years ago. They were doing YouTubes in the woods in Sweden. The most gorgeous harmonies you've ever heard. They are fantastic. And I have a couple songs on the list I sent to Steven. So First Aid Kit and the song Cedar Lane is my absolute favorite. It's so bittersweet. And then Lord Huron. Do you know Lord Huron? Steven's looking
I probably know the song.
You really don't. Like they're not like a popular band, but they're so good. They're so good. So those are my 2. Those are my suggestions, and I've got other things.
And they're on the list.
They're on the list. We have so much to talk about. It's on the list. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. We'll be right back. Okay. You're like, okay, that's a good bumper song. Copperhead Road. What's the issue? Well, I'll tell you the issue. Is that when I find a song I like, I will go and I will find all the versions of it humanly possible. Like Back on the Chain Gang, the Morrissey version, right? Well, I found this version from Nickelback. And I know, I'm embarrassed. Everyone in this room has secondhand embarrassment for me. Right, Steven? Steven has secondhand embarrassment for me that I told him to play a Nickelback song. Are you not going to say anything? Are you just playing it and playing it?
I could just let it roll.
Listen, in my defense, I don't know much about Nickelback. I know that they're Canadian. I know that randomly the lead singer dated Avril Lavigne. I know that they're kind of considered a cheeseball band. But it's a good version of Copperhead Road. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But it is what it is. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk about, before I get to the Cracker Barrel stuff, because I have thoughts about this, and it's maybe something a little bit of a different take. Let's talk about last week, because I mentioned we were going to talk about the Meghan Markle, the new this part 2 of her dumb show where she's like putting flower sprinkles on Jell-O or whatever she's doing. It's like the most ridiculous show you've ever seen. It's not even a good hate watch. It's boring. Okay. It's boring. I watched like the first episode and I was like, this is like, again, it's not even a good hate watch, but in this iteration, like the season 1, part 2, cause it's not a second season. It's just outtakes of crap they already shot. Netflix is like, let's get this heifer let's get her out of this stall and move on from these grifters and move on. So they're just putting out all the content of Meghan Markle, and then they're going to send her on her way. But Meghan Markle thought it would be a great idea to have one Chrissy Teigen on her show. Now, if you don't know who Chrissy Teigen is, consider yourself blessed. Hashtag blessed and hashtag live, laugh, love. Because this moon-faced weirdo is problematic, as the kids say. Now, Meghan Markle is a stone-cold, easily to spot, hardcore malignant narcissist, but so is Chrissy Teigen. But Chrissy Teigen takes it to another level because about 10 years ago, there were all of these tweets that she had. And the tweets that a lot of people are talking about are the ones where she told this young girl, Courtney Stodden, to basically unalive herself. Like, take a dirt nap. That's what I'd like today. And she's gross. And she would direct message her, telling her to, commit suicide. Like, she's terrible. That's what they're talking about. What they're not talking about are, like, the truly disturbing pedophilic tweets that she put out. Like, tweets like, I want to Anthony Weiner this kid. She's watching Toddlers and Tiaras, that groomer pedophile show that ran forever for some awful reason. They're like, it'd be a great idea. Let's put a bunch of 3 and 4-year-old little girls in makeup and pageant wear and prance them around on a TV show. That's a great idea. Anyway, it's awful. Anyway, she's watching Toddlers and Tiaras, and she has these most, like, really creepy tweets talking about how she loves cheese pizza and, like, an inordinate amount of tweets about cheese pizza, okay? And if you know anything about pedophile code words, and we've talked a lot about this on the show, when the Podesta files were released, little did Seth Rich know, he just thought he was exposing the fact that Democrats were, stealing the election for Hillary Clinton. Little did he know what was really on that DNC server. A lot of really unexplainable emails that they, to this day, have no explanation for these code words. But when you look at what they mean, FBI code words, these are pedophilia code words. Like, really, really strange. Anyway, she's alleged to have also been on the Epstein flight log. I suppose we'll find out. But the point is this. The woman is, I think Meghan Markle put her on the show because she's even more despised than Meghan Markle is. Meghan Markle is like, listen, I know everyone hates me, but I'm going to bring this lady on that I was on Deal or No Deal with, like 20 years ago. Haven't seen her in 20 years, but let's bring her on because she's even more hated than I am, and it'll make me look good. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, it's crazy. It's not going over well for Chrissy Teigen because, as they say, the internet is forever. And it was funny because when she came out and was, throwing a fit, she's like, oh my God, all these people are saying that me and my husband are pedophiles, and oh, they're so crazy. It's exactly what John Podesta did. It's exactly what all these people did that were caught with these emails that make absolutely no sense. And so the media, of course, carried their water for them and saying, oh, this conspiracy theory, it's crazy. It's like, well, okay, what do they mean then? What do these mean? Because they don't make any sense in the context of these emails or the context of these tweets. They just don't. But anyway, moving on. This brings me to the Cracker Barrel situation. That's a nice segue there. And my true hatred, annoyance, thinking that this term is a scourge on the culture, a scourge on society, if you will. And that term is girl boss. Hashtag girl boss. Hashtag, I'm a hashtag girl boss. And here's why. Because people who use the term girl boss are the worst people on planet Earth. The most insufferable type of feminists. The most insufferable type of women that you would never want to have be your boss. Because it's been my experience. And although I've been fired from many's a job, most of a job. But the ones that are the most awful, the bosses that are the worst, are the women bosses. And it's because they always feel like they have something to prove. They always think they've got to be meaner, tougher, stronger, because I'm a girl boss. Anyway, so two girl bosses over at Cracker Barrel basically almost completely killed it. They took it, they decided with this it was a $700 million rebrand. Can you imagine? Let's take this down home. Yes, admittedly homesick. And I use the term homesick. It's kind of a colloquial term that my sister made up with her friend Becky. It doesn't make any sense really, but it was, when you walk in a place and you're like, it's like grandma. Homesick. It's like, okay. It's supposed to feel homesick. It's supposed to feel homey. It's supposed to be like, I can get some chicken and dumplings here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not supposed to be, let's walk into a soulless generic diner that's I don't know what that rebrand was. But anyway, it's gone horribly wrong for these two girl bosses because when Trump came out and said, Cracker Barrel, you should really go back to the old logo. But they're like, but I feel like that's a white man sitting next to a barrel, and I feel like he's going to go whip a black slave. I feel like we need to get with that. That's very problematic. That's what went through their head. There's a white man sitting next to a barrel. It's slave adjacent. It's somehow slavery adjacent. It is somehow Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben's rice adjacent. Therefore, we must get rid of it. Well, it did not work out too well for the girl bosses because they had to slink back into their cave and say and cry uncle. And speaking of uncle, they brought Uncle Herschel back. You know what? No one even knew what that guy's name was. No one even knew. His name was Uncle Herschel. Now everyone knows what Uncle Herschel is. So I guess the girl bosses can be like, well, see, we put you guys back on the map. And now everyone's talking about Cracker Barrel.
They have gotten more publicity
they have
than they've ever had in their existence.
Ever. And so I guess it's like a good news, bad news situation. It's like, well, on the one hand, these girl bosses did almost ruin the company. And, keep in mind also, it's the same girl boss mentality that, ruined Bud Light, said, you know what America needs is a tranny holding a beer. Hi, everybody. I'm Dylan. It's my 17th day of girlhood, and I'm drinking a Bud Light to celebrate. And that was a girl boss, too. An unattractive girl boss who probably went to an Ivy League college. Anyway, so these two other girl bosses were like, hold my beer. So it's not gone well.
I want to know how that rebrand cost $700 million. I mean, I would have done Magic Erase on Uncle Herschel for $100 million.
No, but it wasn't just Uncle Herschel. It wasn't just taking away the slavery adjacent old man sitting in a barrel.
They reshaped the yellow square.
They did that, but then they also went and they completely demolished all the restaurants, and they made it look like a generic diner, a soulless. Someone called it like a brutalist. If you know the brutalist architecture movement, very Soviet, like that, very cold. And I mean, I love modern architecture, don't get me wrong, but I don't like brutalist. And it was a brutalist, you guys. It was not cute. But okay. It's back to Uncle Herschel and slavery adjacent. So huzzah. Okay, let's talk about some other stuff. What should we talk about? What I'm scrolling. Oh, okay. this is very interesting to me because this is a topic that I have not been called to talk about on TV. Gosh, I wonder why. And the media is desperately trying to flush down the toilet, pretend it doesn't exist because they were in on it. Now, the reason you know that they're in on all the burn bags. Remember we talked about a couple weeks ago, Mike McCormick, our friend from Midnight in the Laptop of Good and Evil, the story that broke that the FBI, so basically a whistleblower, a good guy in the FBI in the past iteration of it, like set aside these burn bags that were all of these documents that were supposed to be burnt, basically to erase the evidence that these people committed all these crimes. Well, this guy was like, you might want to look into these bags. And so they did. And now Tulsi Gabbard at the Trump cabinet meeting, it's so funny because my husband Fred will always have CNBC going because he works in the market. Vertuvian. If you need someone that knows anything about money, you should go to Vertuvian.com. Just saying. Anyway, Trump, what I love about Trump is that he'll be like, not only are you going to be able to, take some pictures of us at the cabinet meeting. Listen, his cabinet meetings, it's a far cry from Joe Biden going, and if you're watching, his peepaw potato face, like that his 47th facelift that's gone awry, like whatever. It's a far cry. Trump's like, how about you come in and we can take the whole thing. You can take the whole darn thing. And it's like one cabinet secretary after another basically going, Mr. President, you really are the best. You are amazing. And here's why. And so like Scott Bessent, and I told Fred was a little, I'll mention it in the next segment because my husband Fred was like, I don't know about the Scott Bessent. I'm like, no. He's going to be good. And he's been great, the Treasury Secretary. We'll pick all that up in the Tulsi Gabbard stuff when we get back. BRB. Yes. Before you all clutch your pearls about me putting on the girl bosses of the Dixie Chicks, and they will always be the Dixie Chick. Calm down. Goodbye.
Talk about another bad rebrand.
Good. Yeah, that was a bad rebrand, too. I'm not calling them the Chicks. That's stupid. Just call them the girl bosses. Anyway, Goodbye Earl's a great song. F around and find out, Earl. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of finding out portion of our broadcast going on right now. Okay? Now, I mentioned how Scott Bessent, who my husband initially was like, I don't know, because you know why? Because he worked in the Soros organizations, like the Soros-tied financial world. And I was like, on the surface, I get it. Like, that would be troublesome. However, the scuttlebutt before he appointed him was like, no. Scott Bessent is like, he was in there. Like, he knows how these people think. He knows how these people work. We are going to have an inside view of the Soros organization and the deep state financial world. This guy knows. He knows these people. He's been fantastic. Now, Tulsi Gabbard in this very long cabinet meeting. By the way, I mentioned this before. Does Trump sleep? This is my serious question. He might be a pod person. He might be. He might be a lizard person or a pod person, because it does not seem that our president sleeps. But anyway, in this very long cabinet meeting, Tulsi got to speak. And Tulsi's like, hey, Mr. President, remember how, like, Cash said there were these burn bags that related to, like, some Russia collusion hoax stuff? Well, guess what? I'll see your Russia collusion hoax burn bags, and I'll raise you a 2020 election fraud burn bag. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes. So Gabbard uncovers burn bags of documents tied to the 2020 election corruption hidden from the American public. Now, this is all going to explode on them, and this is why it's delicious, and this is why I mentioned I have not been called about this, because the media is not discussing it, because the media was in on it. And I don't know how... Trump is now starting to float ideas that ABC News, NBC, all of them, since they were all in on the Russia collusion hoax, and since they are continuing to this day to throw cold water on the idea that, Trump's crazy. Of course Trump urinated on a bed with hookers in Moscow. What are you crazy? They're still perpetuating the idea that Trump was a Russian agent and that the Trump-Russia collusion was real. So because they're continuing to perpetuate the lie, the conspiracy doth continue. And Trump is now proposing the idea that they basically get their FCC licenses pulled. He put that on Truth the other day. Like, y'all, this is what I will continue to say to leftists. If you don't think that Trump he has said this from a long time. We have it all. We caught them all. If you don't think that this is now a very slow rollout to cause as much pain to these people as possible, like, you're smoking as much crack as allegedly Barack Obama did in the back of a limousine with Larry Sinclair. Okay? Like, he has it all. And they are going to expose them all. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. And it doesn't matter if the media wants to ignore it. He's still going to do it. Okay, let's move on to some other things. Are you... Someone in this room is laughing. My Larry Sinclair reference, allegedly. Listen, you want a fun interview? Go listen to that guy talk about his encounter with Obama in the back of a limo in Chicago before Obama was a senator. That's a good interview. I believe he was a state senator then, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we've got some Kilmar news. Some Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the left's favorite illegal alien. The left's, there's so many that are their favorites. They're like, how do we choose? How do we choose which gangbanging, human trafficking, wife-beating thug, illegal is our favorite? Like, throw a dart. But this guy, they really like him. And they're into him. And they're like, we need to make sure that even though America is the most corrupt country in the world, and even though America sucks, and even though America is like, still has slavery, like, we need to make sure that Kilmar gets to stay. Kilmar gets to stay and go back to his lovely wife, Jennifer, who, call me girl if you need a recommendation for a shot doctor, okay? You maybe should get on. Like, lay off the burritos, Jennifer. Anyway, Jennifer wants him back, even though Jennifer, filed a complaint that he beat her. And Jennifer, when she got her GoFundMe going, she was like, you know what? I can raise money off these idiot leftists. Like, let's bring him back. So this guy has been going back and forth and back and forth. It's crazy. So they bring him back from El Salvador. Some leftist judge is like, release him, release the hounds. And they were like, and Trump, to his credit, is like, listen, we're following what these courts are saying. Unlike what leftists do, we're actually following what the courts are saying. Like, we know what you're doing. You're just kicking the can because you think somehow you're going to win the midterms. You're not. But we know what you're doing. You're doing as much lawfare as humanly possible, so we can't get anything done. Like, we know your game. Whatever. So this Kilmar guy's probably got massive whiplash. So they bring him back from El Salvador, and then Trump is like, actually, we're going to deport you to Uganda. He's got, you guys, the fact that Trump is like calling up Uganda and being like, hey, you guys need some money, right? Like, you could use a little influx of American cash into your economy. How about you take some of these dirtbag illegal aliens? And they're like, great, we will do it. And we will hold them, and then we'll send them, shoot them out of a cannon back to their home countries, okay? So Uganda is now going to be a holding place for some illegals. Honduras is the same. El Salvador, obviously. And I've mentioned, you guys, before Trump started sending people to El Salvador, if you want a good watch, if you want a bird's eye view into what these illegals are really going to be dealing with in El Salvador, Fred and I can't remember. It's on his algorithm is crazy. Like, my algorithm is like murder porn and politics and makeup videos. And his algorithm is like aliens and Egypt and biblical secrets and like stoicism and prison documentaries. Okay? And there's like a prison documentary in El Salvador of what happens in the El Salvadorian prison. It is no joke. You don't want to go there. Like, let me tell you something. The president of El Salvador is not playing, and he is doing a fantastic fantastic job. And so, of course, he doesn't want to go to El Salvador. He's like, send me to Uganda. Okay, great. Send him to Uganda. So, of course, some leftist judge is like, no, bring him back. So they bring him back again. And then Chris Van Hollen, Senator Van Hollen. No, not, is he a senator? I think he's just a congressman, Maryland congressman. That dirtbag is like, he's my constituent. He's my constituent. Not Rachel Morin. He's a senator. Thank you. Senator Van Hollen. Not Rachel Morin, who was murdered viciously by an illegal alien, a Maryland woman who's actually your constituent. No. An illegal alien, MS-13 gangbanger, human trafficker, wife beater. That's your constituent. Thank you for telling us what we already knew. Anyway, Chris Van Hollen met with him again because he needs to raise money, and he thinks that this thing still has legs. And so now this guy has been released back into the United States, even though Kilmar Garcia, he said he doesn't speak English, but he speaks English enough to say this when he's caught on camera saying, oh, the U.S. government is corrupt. Okay, well then leave. Why do you want to stay? Why do you want to stay? You should go home. Run home. Run on. Go on. So I don't know. Who knows? I hope Chris Van Hollen just is like, listen, I'll take him in. Send him to my house. I'll put him to work with, Maria the maid and Jose the gardener. And we'll just work him to death because that's all they think illegal aliens do anyway. It's true. Anyway, let's talk about some other stuff. Here's a story that is going to make your blood boil. Remember Shiloh Hendrix? Stephen? Shiloh Hendrix, the woman who had the audacity to use the dreaded word. Oh, the dreaded word that you're not allowed to ever say. When a little thug was going through her diaper bag and stealing stuff, and another just wonderful asylum seeker in Minnesota, and of course it's like Ilhan Omar's district, so it's some Somali guy. Shouldn't be here probably anyway. He was like filming this lady saying the N-word to a little thug. What did you say? What did you say to that child? Like, mind your own damn business. Like, what is this? So everyone was like, this was when woke truly died, because this guy thought I got myself a scalp. I got a scalp. And he posted it on social media. And what happened? A GoFundMe was set up for Shiloh, and she raised like $750,000. Okay. Well, because she lives in Minnesota, and because Minnesota's a hotbed of crazy, look what happened with the Annunciation Church shooting and a trans Tifa, another tranny shooter. This is in Minnesota. So Ilhan Omar's stomping grounds, of course, decide we're going to charge her. Charge her with what? Saying a word? Well, they can't do that because it's not the UK. But they are charging her with 3 counts of disorderly conduct. It's ridiculous. Like, now she's going to raise $750,000 more for her GoFundMe, and I'm here for it. Okay, what else do we got here? Okay, are we in the 3rd or the 4th segment? Okay, good. Okay, before we leave this segment, you guys, I just wanted to let you know how excited I am that the, I would say at this point, double bagger adjacent, Taylor Swift. Honey, put some highlights in your hair. Like, please, do something, okay? You have $1 billion. Do something with that hair. Anyway, she got engaged to her little boyfriend, Travis, who only dated black women before he dated Taylor Swift. And he, talked like a black person before he dated Taylor. And he's just like, let me hitch my wagon to that star. And he proposed marriage. And they had a nice little Instagram story. And it was like all these pictures in a garden with her hair that needs to be highlighted and her ugly ring that looks like, I'm sorry, that ring is ugly. It is tacky looking. No. So congrats, Taylor. Congrats. Because, I hope your prenup is good, because I think we all know what's going on here. Do we not? I think we might know. I'm just speculating. All right, one more segment. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Oh. My TCL TV. Listen, if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to a couple weeks ago with my first world problem about how we had to possess Chinamen in our TV. Okay, this TCL, this Chinese bootleg TV that they talked us into at Best Buy. instead of a Japanese TV. Listen, like I said, it's not a bad TV. You're paying half the price. Just assume that every 2 weeks it's gonna freeze, and you're gonna have to unplug the whole thing and replug it back in, and be very annoyed about it. But other than that, it's great. Okay, let's talk about Snoop Dogg, of all people. I have a funny Snoop Dogg story. When I lived in LA, I was in a car, and my boyfriend at the time was running in to do something, and we were on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. And this is like, in the 90s. And Snoop walks down the street. He's wearing like a full pimp suit, okay? Like a green and purple, like, pimp suit. And he's with a dude that's also in a pimp suit, like with a big afro and like chains. And I jump out of the car, and this is like early days of camera phones. I mean, like early days. And I was like, oh my God, can I get a picture? And I have this like totally grainy, pixelated picture somewhere of me and Snoop Dogg. But anyway, Snoop Dogg has had quite a renaissance. I feel like Snoop is getting red pilled. All right. And I would say at this point is red pill adjacent. Now, people like Ice Cube have been totally red pilled. And Ice Cube is a very interesting character because one of my favorite movies of all time, shout out to my girl Shay, one of my bridesmaids, we used to live with her. Our favorite movie was Friday. All right. Cray. It's Friday. You ain't got a job. you know what's next. Anyway, we've always loved Friday. It's the funniest movie. And if you look back on the movie, it's like the premise is very interesting because there's this nuclear family. There's this mother, father, brother, and sister, and it's a married couple, and they live in like South Central, but they're a married family, and they're like the mother is working, the dad is working, and it's what Ice Cube was raised in, from what I understand. So his awakening has happened over the last few years, and I think he's helping his bud Snoop, because Snoop now goes on a podcast the other day, and like a few years back, he was like trying to, one of his videos was like assassinating Trump, like it was bad. And now he's like, Trump's the man. Trump is gangsta. All right. He's finally understanding that Trump is the OG. Okay. Anyway, Snoop Dogg goes on a podcast the other day, and he said, listen, I'm not down for all this woke Disney crap. I'm not down for having alphabet people crap shoved in my Disney movies, where I go to take my little grandchildren to go see a Disney movie, and it's like Heather Has Two Mommies all the time, just shoved down your throat. It's like, well, congratulations for waking up, Snoop. And evidently, the alphabet people are none too pleased with Snoop, and they're gonna get him. They're gonna get him. It's like, oh, okay. Like Snoop's worried. Like Snoop is worried with his billions of dollars and his established stature in the culture. Like Snoop Dogg is worried. No, you should be worried. You should be worried, alphabet people, that because Snoop Dogg is now coming out, and he's a black man with a family. He's been married to the same woman for decades. He has grandchildren. He has an intact nuclear family. You should be afraid that more and more black people are going to be like listening to Snoop and being like, oh, he's 100% right. Like, why is it Heather Has Two Mommies in Disney movies? Like, why are we doing this? And I am very, very happy about this. Very happy about this. Now, here's something else. When you think about all the things that were done to get rid of one guy, Trump Russia collusion hoax, Crossfire Hurricane, that didn't work. The Mueller report, they basically hamstringed his entire first term. They ruined innocent people's lives. They bankrupted innocent people to get rid of one person. And then, of course, in my opinion, it's not just my opinion, I think it's what we're going to come to find out. They, of course, released the virus onto the world. In order to do what? Get the mail-in ballots, get the drop boxes, to make sure they can get rid of one guy. Well, Trump, and a lot of conservatives have scratched their heads when, the Operation Warp Speed was going. And Trump was like, we're going to get a vaccine out quickly. We're going to make sure people can get it, yada, yada, yada. And people are like, why is he pushing this? Here's why. It was truly a catch-22, I submit to you. Because it was either you go along with this nonsense because keep in mind, the culture was not where it is right now, okay? We did not have a free X. We had a media that was completely in lockstep with everything the deep state was doing, with getting rid of one person, with jacking up the COVID rates, with making sure that the hospitals were getting paid in order to jack up the COVID rates to say, well, you know, if you say he died of COVID, then we're going to give you money, even though he died of a motorcycle accident or a heart attack. But if you say he had COVID, well, here's $12,000 per death. So all these things were going on. Trump creating, you know, these hospitals at the Javits Center in Central Park and saying, hey, you know, it's really bad, right? I mean, all you nurses who are able to have all this time to do choreographed dances, like you're so busy and the world is ending so much and people are just dropping dead on the side of the road, right? I mean, here's all these hospitals that I created for you. Oh, no. We're going to shove sick people into nursing homes. That's where we're going to put them. We're going to shove sick people into nursing homes so we can jack up the death rate. And then we can make sure on CNN it's the death rate's higher and higher and higher. So that is the place we were at. And so Trump's saying, okay, we're going to create this vaccine to shut these people up so we can get back to normal, so we can reopen the world, because otherwise this was the time, you guys. This was the time where they were implementing the New World Order. They were implementing the tranny crap. And I was just talking to someone off the air who said that why is it that I got all the tranny crap happened during 2020. All this indoctrination into LGBTQIA+, this is when it all just flowered and blossomed. It was like it was a perfect storm for these people. So they were like, okay, not only are we going to make sure that we can do a little depopulation here, not only are we going to make sure that we can shove people with a bioweapon and then get them addicted to this bioweapon and keep getting their boosters and yada, yada, yada. Not only are we going to tell people that you should stay indoors and you should continue to eat and get fatter and fatter, thereby you're going to be even more of a burden on the taxpayer and you're going to need government assistance, but also we can shove the LGBTQ ideology down your throats. It was really a perfect storm. So Trump had a decision to make. Either we're going to allow them to continue this for 5 to 10 years, because I'll never forget a New York Times article during COVID, beginning of the Rona, when they were like, oh, we're going to shut the world down for 2 weeks. That's all. It's going to be fine. And everyone's like, oh, God. Oh, boy. This ain't going to be no 2 weeks. And the New York Times put out an article that basically said, vaccines, they take, 10 to 15 years to develop a safe vaccine. That was the signal, you guys. That was the signal to them, to the deep state, to be like, this is it. This is our time to change everything. And so Trump's like, no, we're going to warp speed it. We're going to make sure we get a vaccine out quick. That's why he did it, you guys. That's why he did it. And so all of us MAGA people who are purebloods and wouldn't take it, and I'm not talking about the people who are basically forced under the threat of losing their livelihoods, because I know a lot of people who had to do that, and people are like, well, you should have just not done it. Well, it's like, well, do you have a family to feed? I mean, like people, this is how they live. This is how they survive. And the evil that these companies did to force people to do something they didn't want to do is just evil and wrong. And it's all going to come out. All going to come out. But now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a report that got leaked to the Daily Beast. The Trump administration is planning to phase out the COVID-19 vaccine. Why? Because there's a lot of problems with the COVID-19 vaccine. And it sucks that Trump had to do it, but think of the alternative, you guys. If Trump had not pushed for this and pushed to get a vaccine out, they would still have us locked down. They're like, no kids shouldn't go back to school. What do you want to kill them? You want to kill grandma? Well, of course we should wear masks until the end of time. This is what they wanted for the new normal. So Trump really was within a rock and a hard place. And listen, Trump never mandated that vaccine. Never mandated it. And now he gonna get rid of it. Adios, amigos. All right, that's my time. It goes so fast. But there's always next week. You've been listening to the Angela Box Show. Until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names.